Hello, BookTube. Well, the messy aftermath of my illness, I'm afraid, is going to mean we only have one video today. But it'll be a book haul, and it might pump energy into both of us. This is book haul number 18, I think, or 17. I really don't know. But it's a fairly good size. Nothing big and no boxes, but that's all right. Let's see what the first one is. Well, okay, this continues. Some great stuff from Thames and Hudson on ancient Egypt. This is due in May. This is the Complete Temples of Ancient Egypt. Look at that. Very nice. Very pretty. All throughout. Floor plans, black and white and color photos. And this is by Richard Wilkinson, who's an Egyptologist whose name even I know. Great. I've been to every one of these temples, not many times, but it's great to read. It's always great to read the latest archaeological stuff about them. Let's see what the next one is here. I don't have any Angels of Mercy today. They sense in their way that I don't really need the sympathy at this point. Oh, look at this. On the one hand, I love it when publishers do this kind of folderol for their advance copies. But on the other hand, I feel a twinge of sadness because most books don't deserve it, and it's not going to be remembered. So this is wrapped in newspaper and twine. Why is that? Okay, it comes out in July. The title is Final Girls, which means I will neither be reading it nor reviewing it. But let's see. Let's see. Meet the last girl thriller you'll ever need, and yet it's okay. So you put "girl" in quotes. You acknowledge that it's a cliche and a bandwagon. You do it anyway. Just recently, Stephen King praised Final Girls as the first great thriller of 2017 on Twitter. Is that where my profession is going? Oh my! And Dana Schwartz wrote, "If it's good enough for Stephen King, it's good enough for me." All right. Well, both of those are extremely suspect. 10 years ago, college student Quincy Carpenter went on a vacation with 5 friends. Little did she know she'd be coming back alone, the sole survivor of a horror movie-scale massacre. But it doesn't really matter, because it's a girl book. But she's not a girl, I can tell right now. She has an apartment of her own, she went to school, she went to college, she's a young woman. But it doesn't matter. So, we've got the Keystone Gazette and some twine to accentuate the ripped-from-the-headlines nature of the story. Well, that would be clever if the whole thing weren't completely derivative. But it is, so. Oh, fantastic. Okay, this comes out in early February. It's a YA novel, believe it or not. At the Edge of the Universe by Sean David Hutchinson, who did We Are the Ants. Let's see. Tommy and Ozzy have been best friends since 2nd grade and boyfriends since 8th. They spend countless days dreaming of escaping their small town, and then Tommy vanished. More accurately, he ceased to exist, erased from the minds and memories of everyone who knew him, everyone except Ozzy. Ozzy doesn't know how to navigate life without Tommy and soon suspects that something else is going on, that the universe is shrinking. When Ozzy is paired up with the reclusive and secret Calvin for a physics project, it's hard for him to deny the feelings that develop between them, even if he still loves Tommy. But Ozzy knows there isn't much time left to find Tommy, that once the door closes, it can't be opened again, and he's determined to keep it open as long as possible. Okay, this comes out in early February, and for that plot summary will tell you, those of you who haven't read We Are the Ants, that plot summary will tell you this author's uncanny ability to map the delusion of every high school student that the world hangs on their every single infatuation and mood onto the reality of his novels, in which the fate of reality does hang on those things. The first novel of his that I read, I thought, well, what are you doing? This is the ultimate validation of every moody teenager in the world. And then I read We Are the Ants, which does the same thing on an even grander scale, and was blown away regardless by the literary talent involved. And I'm looking forward to this one, to say the least. Good, so let's see here. What is next? This is August Town by Kay Miller. In April 1982, a smell is coming down John Golding Road right alongside the boy child. Something attached to him, like a spirit, but not quite. Ma Taffy is growing worried. She knows that something is going to happen. Something terrible is going to pour out into the world. But if she can hold it off just a bit longer, she will. So she asks a question that surprises herself even as she asks it. Kaya, I ever tell you about the flying preacher man? Set in the backlands of Jamaica, August Town is a magical and haunting novel of one woman's struggle to rise above brutal vicissitudes of history, race, class, collective memory, violence, and myth. And Marlon James, the author of A Brief History of 7 Killings, writes, a deceptive spellbinder, a metafiction so disguised as old-time storytelling that you can almost hear the crackle of home fires as it starts. But then it gets you with twists and turns. It seduces and shocks you even as it wrestles with the very nature of storytelling itself. It's the story of women haunted by women and the dangers of both keeping secrets and saying too much. Well, that sounds fascinating. If I were, this comes out in May, if I were participating in Diversithon, I would probably leap right on this right away. But I read for myself and not for anyone else, unless they're paying me. No one at Diversithon is paying me, so so I'll read what I please instead of going hunting through the biography section of Wikipedia to find out what things have happened to the author in real life. Why do I give a crap what's happened to the author in real life? I want to know how good the book is. I couldn't care less what's happened to them in real life. But I'm supposed to. For Diversifon, I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to care about whether or not they have feeling in their legs. I'm supposed to care about whether or not they find boys attractive. I'm supposed to care about what country they come from. I don't care about any of that. And I don't want to signal to anybody that I do. Why would I care what the opinion of total strangers is as far as the open-mindedness of my reading? Watching some of these Diversithon videos, I'm sure that they mean well. But watching some of these videos with the holier than thou, if you're not doing this, I'd really kind of like to know why. Are you maybe R-word? Watching videos like that with implications like that, I always wanted to stop the camera and say directly to the person, I'll match the breadth of my reading against the breadth of yours any day, and we'll see who's living in a bubble and who's not. But I didn't, because I'm a nice booktuber. No hashtags. Let's see. Let's move on. You just knew you were going to get a Diversithon rant. I'm sure you did. This is Motherland by Paul Theroux, who's been doing big, ambitious books. His last few. I don't know why I don't associate that with him, but I don't. And they've been increasingly good. I think he's... Well, anyway, let's... to those in her Cape Cod town. Cape Cod, yay. Mother is an exemplar of piety, frugality, and hard work. To her husband and 7 children, she is the selfish, petty tyrant of Motherland. Hence the title. She excels at playing her offspring off against each other. Her favorite, Angela, died in childbirth. Only Angela really understands her, she tells the others. The others include the officious lawyer, Fred, the uproarious Professor Floyd, a pair of inseparable sisters whose devotion to Mother has consumed their lives, and J.P., the narrator, a successful writer whose work she disparages. As she lives well past the age of 100, her brood struggles with and among themselves to shed her vice-like hold over them. Oh, that sounds good. This comes out in May. Motherland. All right. Let's move on. I am rapidly deteriorating here on camera, so we're gonna wrap this up. Oh God, this is another fiction-heavy book haul. The Light We Lost by Jill Santopolo. This is another novel. Kind of a nice cover. With shades of the tragic choice in Me Before You, the fated scope of one day, and the permanence of the time traveler's wife, The Bridges of Madison County, and Love Story, there is something rich and resonant, uniquely memorable, and simply extraordinary. Oh, come now. Settle down there, Seymour. I will quite literally be the judge of anything that's simply extraordinary. Unfolding in a series of vignettes over the course of a decade and a half, The Light We Lost follows a young woman, Lucy, as she navigates the turbulent emotional waters of her first love. Lucy and Gabe meet as seniors at Columbia University on a day that changes both their lives forever, September 11th, 2001. As the towers fall mere miles from where they stand, the two kiss for the first time. Okay, all right, I will grant the novel anything, but that's almost sacrilege. Triggered by both emotions spurred by the horrific event they are witnessing and a deep connection discovered in that dark moment. What follows is a journey that brings the two of them together and apart, and also plunges half the world into war, and dividing and reuniting them repeatedly over the course of a decade as Gabe moves to the Middle East to become a war zone photojournalist, and Lucy pursues life and career in New York City. It's been sold in 22 languages. It's a big hit. And is this the author's first book? Yes, it looks like it is. Okay. All right, well. Okay, this comes out in early May. It's The Light We Lost. Now that I look at the cover again with open eyes, they're clearly supposed to stand in for the Twin Towers. I don't know. This sort of thing, it reminds me of, there was a great review of the Jerry Bruckheimer movie, the Michael Bay movie, Pearl Harbor. A long time ago, there was a wonderful review that quotes a line of dialogue in the movie in which the female lead is talking to the male lead, and they also are beginning to fall in love as bombs are falling on the ships at Pearl. And she says, I thought things were going great, and then all this happened. The reviewer just left it alone. The reviewer just left it there, because it is the height of fatuousness. We shall see, though. Okay. Right, so this is the last book before I go away, and I'm hoping for nonfiction, but it's a small thing, so probably not. Oh, no, it is nonfiction. Oh, great, and it's due in April, and it's right up the alley of a whole bunch of people I know. It's called Air and Light and Time and Space: How Successful Academics Write. Let's see here. From the author of Stylish Academic Writing comes an essential new guide for writers aspiring to become more productive and take greater pleasure in their craft. Helen Sword interviewed 100 academics worldwide about their writing background and practices. Relatively few were trained as writers, she found, and yet all have developed strategies to thrive in their publish or perish environment. So how do these successful academics write? Where do they find the air and time and light and space, in the words of poet Charles Bukowski, to get their writing done? What are their formative experiences, their daily routines, their habits of mind? Okay. All right. At first I thought the subtitle was wrong. At first I thought the title was How Academics Write Successfully, instead of How Successful Academics Write. Now I see that the author does mean successful academics and how they write, and that opens a gigantic potential problem. We'll see. I'll read the book. You could see it, I'm sure, of course, yourself. You can be a successful academic without writing well at all. The two don't go hand in hand, and the one doesn't betoken the other. So finding a dozen successful academics and then assuming that they write well, when I read the stuff a lot of these people write, I get it in the mail right in front of you, and most of it is god-awful. As successful as they are. You've heard me read their descriptions of their bios. Some of them are emeritus professors, with a row of honors as long as your arm to their name, and they can't write a coherent sentence that interests. Instead, it's all completely stodgy, 3-day-old porridge, the kind of crap that the academy produces all the time. So this could be a trouble. We'll see. I don't really give a rap how successful academics write. I care about how academics write successfully. But we'll see. Maybe the author anticipates that. So, writing in academia. A somewhat troubling 9/11 novel, Motherland by Paul Theroux, Augusttown by Kay Miller, set in Jamaica, At the Edge of the Universe by Sean David Hutchinson, in which the romantic maunderings of teenage boys really does affect the outcome of the universe. The Girl Who Couldn't Come Up with a Different Title, and The Complete Temples of Ancient Egypt, which I think I don't know about reading the text, but I think I will go through it right now. And I hopefully will be back to bothering you with multiple videos tomorrow. Thank you, BookTube.